One of the things they didn't talk about in the Chernobyl disaster was the fact of how many pizzas were instantly cooked.
I think they were more than cooked.
Ooh, cooked perfectly, though, I imagine.
Mamma mia.
Oh, mamma mia, we cooked so many pizzas.
Oh, gotta love it.
Gotta love it. My headphones are absolutely acting a fool.
Oh.
But it's fine. Hello, my name is Fred Stewart, and welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens, with, as always, my lovely co-host.
It's me. It's Taylor. Hi.
And the man of many words and many mysteries, running cameras and sound, is Bill Bernard.
Hey, I'm mysterious. I'm green. I'm everything in between.
Can you try to load this on here for me real quick, because it's being a pain in my ass. But I have a couple news stories I want to talk about right off the rip, because technology just seems to not be wanting to work for me today. There was a woman out of Florida, Florida, Pensacola, to be specific. She was arrested after she caused around $5,355 in damages to 2 Pensacola Airbnb rentals by urinating on the furniture, alleging using the video incidents to recreate adult content.
Oh.
So, 31-year-old Nicolette Coe peed on multiple items on one of the units. The owner then reportedly found a video on an adult content website that showed a woman peeing in the unit.
Oh.
So either somebody sent this to him and was like, "Is this your fucking house?" Or he was like, "I'm gonna watch some pee porn," and then just was like, "That tapestry looks really familiar." And just saw a lady peeing everywhere.
I have to say this because I was saving it. My immediate response, and this is very timely if you'll know it, would have been, what is the charge? A succulent piss in an Airbnb?
I am glad that you saved that. Yeah, that's
this is Democracy Manifest.
So the owner, when the owner went to document the damage, she found a strong odor of urine in the residence. So just allegedly, this woman, Nicolette, damaged an antique Crown Royal chair, a rug, a typewriter, 4 dining room chairs, a coffee maker, a bed, a TV, a record player, a toaster, and an electric fireplace in one of the units.
Yep.
In the other unit, a vase, a rug, an accent wall, a chair, and a tiger rug had also been peed on.
Okay, at least like the vase you could just like rinse off.
Yeah.
Pour it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. I think there's an opportunity there for the great soda maker Squirt to make $1 or $2. I don't know.
I heard that story, and then we record this weeks in advance. So that story has probably been heard 1,000 times over. It shows this next story. This comes out of Indiana. I thought this was Florida when I first read it. It's definitely not, because it reads like a Florida story. A man led law enforcement, on a chase Friday afternoon after stealing a Bud Light truck. Officials say 41-year-old Randall Baker stole a truck around 3 p.m. from a liquor store on North Governor Street and was found heading westbound on Diamond Avenue near Resurrection Drive. So they say that Baker refused to pull over and led police into a chase into Posey County. And the pursuit continued westward in Wadesville, then went northbound to State Road 165. And it was around this time that deputies attempted to spike strip the truck. And unfortunately, that Mr. Posey, or not Mr. Posey, excuse me.
Posey the poser.
Mr. Baker decided that he's had enough, and he absolutely obliterates his police car. No one was injured, and he is currently facing charges of attempted murder, auto theft, criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, resisting law enforcement, and reckless operation of a tractor trailer while intoxicated. Because if you're sober, you're not stealing a Bud Light truck.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah, usually not.
I don't tell you.
I was gonna say, I wonder if this guy got a little bit of experience beforehand by stealing a whole bunch of Kit Kats, and he was just like, "I'm really thirsty and I want to get shithoused." I don't know.
He stole a Frito-Lay truck last week. And for my final news story that I have, and this one to me, this one popped up just on my regular Facebook. This wasn't even like I was looking on my way to go find some crazy news. This just was like the local news reporting this. FEMA official says he teleported several times, including to Waffle House. A top FEMA official is doubling down on his claim that he has been teleported against his will. Greg Phillips is in charge of response and recovery at FEMA and has repeated the claim on several podcasts, according to CNN. Last year, an episode of Onward, a podcast co-hosted by right-wing activist who fucking cares, said his car was, quote, lifted up while driving, and he was transported 40 miles away into a ditch near a church. In the same episode, he said he teleported 50 miles away to a Waffle House in Rome, Georgia. Quote, I was with my boys one time and I was telling them I'm going to go to Waffle House and get Waffle House, and I ended up at a Waffle House. This was in Georgia, and I ended up at a Waffle House like 50 miles away from where I was.
Well,
he added to the teleporting as, quote, no fun but an incredible adventure. And he also said, I know what I experienced, haters gonna hate. And also said the Bible has examples of powers of God. So he's either getting abducted by aliens or he's getting so blackout drunk on the way to Waffle House that he forgets.
You know?
So
could have been either.
I'm playing all over the thing. I'm going to say, usually for me, when I teleport to Waffle House and my car goes flying, that's because Tiger Woods is driving and we're not in control.
Well, you got to listen. One of you two has to be drunk, and it's clearly going to be Tiger Woods behind the wheel.
Oh, yes. Hole in one. That's the way to do it.
Is it the one? I just can't believe a top female official was like, I'm been teleported by the God. And it's like, I think you might be having micro strokes or you're being abducted by aliens who really love Waffle House.
You know, you never know.
Yeah.
You talked about it before the podcast, like what would be the scariest thing for an alien to be?
Oh, yes.
What if an aliens just are a Waffle House?
Bro,
They're lowering people.
I'm telling you.
That sounds about right for a Waffle House, actually.
Yes, because Waffle Houses are some of the most like wild places, a wild frontier of anger, aggression, and decently priced breakfast.
Waffle Houses are Denny's for people who don't know who know how to fight.
Yes,
I mean,
yes, that's factual.
A lot of Waffle Houses, you like walk in, it's like an alternate dimension. However, the one I went to in Arizona was so nice.
Ooh.
Like I walked in and like it was just like happy diner vibe.
Because everyone in there is probably of the median age of 65 plus.
No, I wasn't in Phoenix. I was outside of Phoenix.
I was in La Mesa is where I was at.
No, I was in some rich part of Arizona.
Oh,
like,
shocker.
Richy rich. But
You mean
it was like
Arizona?
no, like this was like ritzy.
I don't know why. I'm thinking of like Scottsdale. Is that a nice area?
I think Scottsdale's also nice.
I'm not sure.
I'm sure listen, if you're a gangster out in Scottsdale, Arizona, please send us the email, hgopodcast@gmail.com. Tell us, how is your gang doing in Scottsdale, Arizona?
But it was a really nice Waffle House experience. Okay. It was like right next to my shitty hotel, and it was like, oh, this is going to be an experience. No, it was really nice. Pleasantly surprised.
For all of the times I've been, it's always been decent. It's always been decent. And they've been in they've been in Savannah, Georgia. I went there twice, and I went to the Waffle House nearby the Kansas City airport like 3 times. So I consider myself well versed in Waffle Houses.
I think it depends on like what Waffle House you go to. Like I had a great experience. It was totally fine.
Sure.
My breakfast was great. My friend's breakfast, eggshells in it.
Ooh.
So, hit or miss.
Listen,
That's what she gets for getting scrambled eggs.
Sure, well, that has nothing to do with it. I've been to Denny's in at least 4 different states, so I'm
Yeah.
kind of versed in Denny's. I've been in a lot of Waffle Houses.
Yeah, go to 8. Go to 8 more, and then you've got the Denny's dozen.
I think if I get 8 more, they make me a regional manager. That's what happens. Yeah. Pretty sure that's it. Taylor, do you have a news story that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I've got this is from CBS 12.
CVS 12.
Florida rocket man pulled over after calls of missile-loaded truck.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, you were talking about this story, and I was like, because you kept saying the word rocket.
That's
and
what
I
they
was
call
like-
him, the rocket man.
I know, but I was like, what is rockets, whatever. I fucking saw this. Go on, because I know exactly what this shit is, and you know exactly what he has on the side of his truck. You just
Okay.
may not know it yet.
Okay.
So, Florida Highway Patrol Tampa had its hands full on fucking the 20-something. This came out on the 24th, so the Sunday before that. Where they were getting a bunch of calls on I-4 about a truck decked out in missiles.
That's very Florida.
I'm so worried, but I'm ready to hear it.
There's only one way to stop these gators.
Florida man, also known as Rocket Man, was intercepted by troopers on SR 39 near Plant City. Okay. There we go.
Formerly known as Kim Jong-un.
And when troopers approached the truck, it was discovered the missiles were actually just plastic devices meant for shows and events.
Oh, okay.
And they just concluded everything to be safe, but they offered him a reminder to better transport his artillery.
Okay.
And I just think it's so funny that there's people calling. They're like, there's a truck with missiles, rockets.
What Taylor fails to mention is the fact that I don't know if the article mentions or not. They're AIM-9 sidewinders.
Oh my God! Yeah, I was about to say, like, what is it? Is he? What? Here's the joke. Here's the joke. I was thinking, wouldn't it be crazy if he was driving a Ford Raptor, thinking that it's an F-22 Raptor
That's
with
actually-
some AIM-20s?
That'd be a fire livery. That'd be
Yes.
the coolest thing ever.
Yes, it would. Yeah, that'd be so cool.
He is, however, driving a Ford Maverick, so
Oh,
he's close.
Maverick
He's close
1-1,
enough.
Maverick 1-1, Fox 1, Fox 2.
But it's so funny.
Wait for
Just-
Val Kilmer to show up. Iceman.
Iceman.
I just thought that was really fucking funny. That just
It's hilarious.
Like-
It's one of the fucking best stories ever.
like they call in like bomb squad and stuff too, because they were like, this man has fucking rockets, bombs, some sort of weapon.
He's the bomb. He's the bomb.
He is the bomb.
He is the bomb.
But yeah, they're just little.
That is wild, though. That is wild.
To be
It's-
carrying that in the
yeah,
bed of your
it's-
truck.
It's absolutely fucking diabolical. I can't believe it. All right. Well, since my little fucking thing isn't deciding to cooperate, we'll have to do the old school across my phone. You guys ready to get into it?
Right.
Yeah, let's get into it.
April 26, 1986. 10 years and 2 days before one of the greatest days in podcast history.
Mm.
You know what that is?
Remind me again.
That would be April 28th, 1996.
Okay.
Nobody?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I know, but
Taylor knows because I told her.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry.
That would be the day that I was born.
Oh shit. Okay. There we go. I'm so
God
sorry
bless. The greatest day in podcast history. I'm kidding, of course. The time is just after 1 a.m. Within seconds, a chain reaction of events will cause the equivalency of 1,000 times that of energy released at Hiroshima, along with a 5,000-degree energy blast that will release the amount of power to run 300,000 homes for a year instantly. This is the story of the Chernobyl disaster.
hell yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Isn't it a crazy statistic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is.
Power to run 300,000 homes instantly.
Instantly.
For a year.
That's crazy.
For a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking power. So, as you might imagine, this story has a lot of layers upon layers. It's like an onion. an onion full of radioactiveness.
Is this
That's my favorite is radioactive onions.
They're so good, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's why I'm getting fat.
Radioactive onions?
Yeah.
Oh.
That and
Where are you getting them?
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
Hook a girl up. The fuck?
Sorry, I can't.
What?
I can't do it. Not get conscious.
Did you get those from the Commonwealth or the Capital Wasteland by chance?
No, I bought it from a guy named Terry under the Burnside Bridge. See, in 1986, Pripyat, Ukraine, where the reactor is located, was in the fucking grip of the Soviet Union because it was originally Pripyat, Ukraine, USSR.
Yes.
Right. Just a year before the disaster, Mikhail Gorbachev came into power, continuing to do the cycle of do as I say, not as I do kind of vibe, right? And which eventually would actually lead to the collapse of the Soviet Union, which years later, just 5 years later, and the subsequent disaster. So it's I'll get to it near the end. It's kind of crazy how this all turns out. See, at this time, not only was the Soviets pushing their industries to collapse by overloading everything, but we were all fucking balls deep in the bitch that was the Cold War. Like everybody hated each other. I'm sure there's a better way to describe that, but I don't care. In case you don't remember what the Cold War was about, I got a Fred version for you, okay? Everybody ready?
Ready for it.
Not only that, but during this time period, we're going to see, I fucking went right past it. The Cold War was essentially a dick measuring contest between NATO and the Warsaw Pact to see who can make the biggest nuclear bombs and aim them at one another, all the while trying to go to space.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This only lasted a measly 44 years, which I assume was what the global war on terror was going to be at this fucking point. So, like, it's just measly 44 years.
Yeah. Just a mild 44 years.
Yeah. And in case you're wondering who detonated the biggest bomb, does anyone who was?
The USSR.
It was the USSR.
The Tsar Bomba.
It was a Tsar Bomba. It was like how many times stronger than the one in Hiroshima? It was like 500 times larger, something like that. Something fucking horrific.
And what's crazy about it is at 50 megatons when it was detonated, it was at half power of what it could do. And at that size, it literally can create a literal death zone that is like 10 miles wide.
Yeah.
Like everything between Gresham and Portland gone
Instantly.
instantly.
So, if you want numbers, the Tsar Bomba was 50 to 58 megatons. Hiroshima was 15 kilotons.
Oh
Yeah.
So it was about 3,300 to 3,800 times more powerful than Hiroshima.
Yeah.
3,800 times stronger than Hiroshima was fucking terrifying. And then I like how, because it really was I joke and I say it was a dick measuring contest of who can build the biggest bombs, point them at each other, then go to space.
Yeah.
But that was the truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we're the whole Manhattan Project. I can do a whole series on that. Talk about like how they're out there in New Mexico, and they're just like fucking just blowing shit up constantly, bigger and bigger. The USSR is doing it, and then eventually USSR builds the Tsar Bomba and they detonate it, and everybody collectively just goes, maybe that was a bit too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
even for the Russians, even for the USSR, they were like, the Soviets were like, ooh, we just removed an island.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everybody should probably relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that they reduced it by half is crazy.
You take an island, you remove half, and you throw the rest in the trash.
Yes.
Well, so I guess looking at facts, the blast wave was felt over 620 miles away,
Yeah.
and it was about 1,570 times more powerful than Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So, it was just a little much.
It was a little much.
If it went off here, you'd probably be able to feel it in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. And what I always love to throw out too is that not even ourselves and the Russians getting into a conflict. If India and Pakistan utilized their full arsenals in a regional conflict with one another, that would cause irreparable damage. And they have like less than 200 weapons each. We have thousands. The Russians have thousands.
Yeah.
When I tell you what I did in the service was dealing with doom and gloom scenarios, that was a good portion of my life that I am grateful that I don't have to be a part of the decision anymore, because it is terrifying.
When I was writing this episode, I'm like, Bill is gonna love this. This is like
Yes. Yes.
literally right up your alley.
Yes, exactly.
If you want a comparison.
Sure. Let me take a look. I'm familiar. See the best way to describe this. So, the
Tiny mushroom.
yeah. So
Large. Very large.
can we get a
mushroom.
close up?
Oh, yes.
So this, if I can focus it, that little guy, that's Hiroshima.
Yep.
And the Trinity test.
Yep.
Then I'll zoom out here. And that big fucking thing is Sarbaba.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Factual.
so it's horrific.
Yeah.
So, that's basically what was happening around this time, right? I was kind of explaining that about how it's a big dick measuring contest.
Big dick.
So, not only that, but during this time period is when we would see a lot of spy craft, right? A lot of spy shit. Spies of competing government agencies attempting to sabotage each other. So with that, the KGB, the USSR's version of the CIA, really nice guys, was in full force. They're real sweethearts. Everybody
they're
loved that
definitely-
Guys.
They're guys you want to go get a beer with.
Yeah.
Like, and go hang out with them.
It's called the Kind Guy Bureau, is what it's called. KGB, Kind Guy Bureau.
Yeah.
They love to just chat, have a good time, chill with the boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're definitely not some of the most secret and terrifying people to exist.
No.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is, and everything was on a need to know basis.
Right.
So you ask too many questions, you're probably gonna get turned into fucking borscht inside of a Russian gulag. Like you don't ask questions, you just follow orders.
Yes.
You just obey orders. You don't ask questions. You just do it. You just get it done. Now, with that, we have a general understanding what the vibe was like inside Soviet Russia. It's time to dive into the site itself, the city of Pripyat, Ukraine, which was founded on February 4th, 1971, as the 9th Atomgrad, aka Atom City, a type of closed city inside the Soviet Union that housed workers of the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. By the time of the disaster, just 16 years later, the population had swelled to around 49,000 plus people. It is estimated that it was anywhere between 49,000 and 150,000. The numbers kept popping up in different places, but generally 50,000 people is kind of what people say. Pripyat held many amenities for its people. The Azure swimming pool, sports hall, an avant-garde stadium, and the now infamous Pripyat amusement park that houses their Ferris wheel, a rusting Goliath that adds to the eeriness of the now dead city. I'm sure everybody here has probably seen the haunted Ferris wheel looking thing. It's all rusted and all decrepit, and they have like the bumper cars that are fucking rusted.
Yep.
It's creepy.
Yes.
It is creepy.
And the reason that Pripyat is so creepy, we'll find out soon why.
Yeah.
Because of what happens, right? Mm-hmm. So access to Pripyat, unlike cities of military importance, was not restricted before the disaster, because Soviets 100% believed that nuclear power stations were safe. Let me re-say that. The Soviets 100% believed that nuclear power stations were completely safe. There's actually a state-run documentary
Yeah.
around nuclear power plants where they're interviewing like the head of like nuclear technology.
Yeah.
And he's like standing and he's like leaning against like the reactor, thing, and he's like, very safe. like he's like, nothing bad happens ever. And he goes, and they go, what about like a meltdown or like they explode? He goes, impossible.
I'm like, bro, like not even 10 years before then, 3 Mile Island happened and completely killed nuclear power in America for the most part.
Yeah.
Which, like,
I actually talk about 3 Mile Island later on.
Okay.
I mean, like, it's one of the like cleanest energies
Yes.
out there, and in the grand scheme of things, it's relatively safe. Except, however, when it goes wrong, it goes very wrong.
Yes.
That's the problem. It's like, it's pretty safe.
Yes. I am
to an extent.
To an extent. I want you to know, I am a big proponent for it. And in my personal belief, the way that the French do it is the most efficient way.
What do they just stick a cigarette in its mouth? Or what?
So
They go, you need to calm it down, reactor. And they put a cigarette in a glass of wine, and it cools the reactor down.
well, the thing I was going to say is the way that the French do it is they put the nuclear material in ceramic pellets that are put in basically a silica stratus, so that if it does have a chain reaction, it will turn the sand into nuclear glass that they can then bury in the ground.
Oh.
And it's way better than having to deal with the way of how we get rid of nuclear waste, because it's like you can wholesale put this in the ground, cover it up, and forget it without having the problem of it leaking out, as can be done with like other materials that are like liquidized.
Listen,
I prefer just to dump it all into a lake or a river.
listen.
Like car
The
batteries.
French do a lot of things right. They do their nuclear power. They do revolutions right. They're doing great.
Dude, their firefighters are fighting the cops and the government. It's the coolest thing ever.
Like, I mean, listen, the French actually do a lot of things right. They hate the Americans, but they do a lot of things right. So
The Soviets believed that nuclear power, especially nuclear power plants, was so safe. They actually had a slogan for it. And excuse my Russian accent here, but they called it the Mirny Atom.
Mirny atom.
Yeah, Mirny Atom, which in English translates to peaceful atom.
Oh,
Isn't that cute?
yeah, that's like the opposite of what Eisenhower said.
Yeah. Eisenhower's like, this is going to destroy the world and everyone and everything you love. And Russians are like, fun. Aren't you having fun? I'm having fun.
Atoms for peace, peaceful atom.
bring your children.
Yeah.
Let's go check it out.
Bring your kids. I'll hand them some spicy rocks. You'll love it. Just don't put your hands in your mouth afterwards or touch anything else. And with Pripyat being just 62 miles outside of Kiev, it was a popular spot for tourists. One thing I found fascinating was that originally, because like they have other nuclear power plants throughout like Belarus and like everywhere, right? And reactor number 4, which we'll talk about, which is the reactor that melts down at Chernobyl, they had other power plants. So like they had other stations that were operating just fine. This wasn't even like a new station either. So like they were planning to build more and more and more.
Right.
The idea was that Chernobyl was going to be the biggest nuclear power plant in the world.
Okay.
And another thing I found fascinating was that, because I said it's 62 miles outside of Kiev, right? Or Kiev. Originally, it was going to be 16. It was going to be like right outside.
Holy
it was
shit,
going to be
man.
right outside the city. And then somebody along the way was like, no. Like, what are you talking about? That's the fucking dumbest idea. Like, put it out by the Pripyat River. And they're like, what do we name it? And they're like, Pripyat. There you go, done.
Yes.
So yeah, but little did anyone know that just in 16 years, hell would be unleashed upon the quiet city, which would also destabilize almost all of Eastern Europe. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about the actual reactor itself. This is going to be the snooze fest part of it. So, the RBMK-1000 is a Soviet-designed and built granite-moderated pressure tube type reactor using slightly enriched 2% U-235 uranium dioxide fuel. Has everyone got that down? Everybody know what that means?
No, but
Spicy rocks make energy.
sounds about right. Yes.
So,
Spooky action
I'm
in
going
the
to
dark.
explain this the best way that I can. For the nerds out there,
Yeah.
you'll know what this means, and I'll go through it, and I'll give you a simple term of it. But so basically, it is a boiling light water reactor with 2 loops feeding steam directly into turbines without an intervening heat exchanger. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Perfect. So water pumped to the bottom of the fuel channel boils as it progresses up the pressure tubes, producing steam, which feeds two 500 milliwatt electric turbines. The water acts as a coolant and provides the steam used to drive the turbines. The vertical pressure tubes contain this zirconium alloy-clad uranium dioxide fuel, around which the cooling water flows. The extensions of the fuel channels penetrate the lower plate and cover plate and the cover plate of the core and are welded to each other. A specially designed refueling machine allows fuel bundles to be changed without shutting down the reactor. Basically, being able to pull stuff out, put rods back in, and just fucking do that all day long. Yep. There's also a big part of this that we'll talk about is there's these rods. They're called the control rods. These control rods basically, like, I shouldn't say stop, but they limit the nuclear fission inside the reactor. So the fission is happening and it's creating that steam, the high pressure steam we're talking about, building the turbine. That's how you get energy. It's going to turn into power, right? Those control rods that we're going to be talking about are a major part of this story.
Right.
So spicy rocks, rod, not as spicy anymore.
Yes.
All right, perfect. I'm a fucking idiot, dude. So having to learn about like nuclear engineering was like, this is way too much.
Bro, let me just say this really quick. I understood everything of what you were saying, but the thing I do not understand is that to our level of advancement, we still are only finding ways to boil fucking water. Like, all of this time and investment, we're still generating power by boiling water. That's all we've done for fucking ever. And it's like, when are we going to come up with a new idea? Like, the fucking Incans didn't even have wheels, and they understood shit. So it's like, are we just, like, stuck? Are we stuck right now?
I think we're stuck right now. I wonder if you can make, could you make, like, top ramen, like, instantly?
Bro, if you do,
Probably.
you might have found the new power source. Like,
so
who
good.
knows?
That'd be fire. So, continuing on with more science. The moderator, the function of which is to slow down neutrons to make them more efficient in producing fission in the fuel, is graphite surrounding the pressure tubes. A mixture of nitrogen and helium is circulated between the graphite blocks to prevent oxidation of the graphite and improve transmission of the heat produced by neutron interactions in the graphite fuels channel. The core itself is about 7 meters high and about 12 meters in diameter. In each of the two loops, there are 4 main coolant circulating pumps, one of which is always on standby. The reactivity or power of the reactor is controlled by raising or lowering 211 control rods, or 211. It says 211 or 211 control rods, which I was talking about, which, when lowered into the moderator, absorb the neutrons and reduce the rate of nuclear fission. Something. You're learning something.
Yes.
The power output of the reactor is around 3,200 milliwatt thermal or 1,000 milliwatt electric. So it's a lot of power coming out of there. It's pretty spicy. It's hot as fuck. It's really spicy.
Yeah.
Various safety systems, such as an emergency core cooling system, were incorporated into the reactor design. So, one of the most important characteristics of the RBMK reactor is that it possesses a, quote, positive void coefficient, where an increase steam bubbles voids is accompanied by an increase in the core reactivity. So basically, as steam production in the fuel channel increases, the neutrons that would be absorbed by the denser water can now produce increased fission in the fuel. You're getting more bang for your buck.
Yes.
Okay.
So what was what I'm trying to say? There are other components that contribute to the overall power coefficient of reactivity, but the void coefficient is the dominant one inside this specific reactors that are at Chernobyl, right? However, at the time of the accident at Chernobyl, at Reactor 4, the reactor's fuel burn-up and control rod configuration and power level led to a positive void coefficient large enough to overwhelm all the other influences on the power coefficient. Basically, it got too hot too fast and was given too much power to stop it.
Yep.
So that's kind of the key part of it, right? Is a key feature of is that being that positive void coefficient. If too much steam is formed, the reactor could become more reactive and increase power. At reactor number 4, this effect combined with fuel control rod conditions leading to a runaway reaction.
Right.
Which we're going to get to. Now that we all had our lesson into nuclear power plants, let's finally dive into the fall of Chernobyl. It's Friday, April 25th, 1986, 1:06 a.m. In preparation for a safety test at reactor number 4, operators began to reduce power. They wanted to test to see if the plant could still provide power, even if the power went out, as well as to see if they could keep keep the reactor cool without power, right? Because you don't keep it cool, it's going to run away.
Yeah,
crazy.
Right.
At 3:06 a.m., the lowering of the reactor power was halted at 1,600 milliwatt electric. So it's still producing a lot of electricity. Around 2 p.m., operators turned off the core's emergency internal cooling system to prevent interference with the test. But the test had to be postponed due to the energy controller in Kiev, basically calling and saying, hey, we need you to keep it at a minimum of 1,600 milliwatt electric coming out of the plant. Just due to the energy demand at the time. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's April. It's starting to warm up a little bit. People are coming home. We need to keep it up for a little bit. So postpone your test. They go, no problem. So this caused the test to be passed off to the night shift. At 11:10 p.m., power reduction to the plant restarts as the test begins. By midnight of April 26th, the plan was in full effect for the night crew. Shut down the reactor and commence the test. About 20 minutes later, power at the reactor dropped down to 500 milliwatt thermal, whether by operator error or by malfunction of a key safety device. Power inside the reactor began to drop rapidly from 500 milliwatt thermal all the way down to 30.
Oh.
It just went like just hardcore dropped.
Yeah.
Which is real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, one thing you don't want to do is stress out the spicy rocks.
No, you don't.
In either direction.
No.
You can kind of keep it in this range. We can go up a little high, we can go up a little low, but we have to keep it in this range. Dropping it so low it's doing that is going to create this like unstable environment inside the reactor. So they go, oh fuck. And so they start, for the next 30 minutes, they're scrambling to try to get power back up.
Right.
And at 1 a.m., the power eventually settles at 200 milliwatt thermal, prompting supervisors to go, okay, everything's good. We're fine. Everybody chill out.
Are you sure?
Well, yeah. Well,
At this particular time, yes.
not being concerned at all about the fact that the power, seemingly loss of random power, that they just had. They're like, yeah, we're not at 30. It's up to 200. Well, that's pretty good,
Yeah.
And so they're like, because it was abnormal, but it was like, all right, it's not. It didn't run away. It didn't go crazy.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, that's not too bad. So they get it up to 200 megawatt thermal, and they go, all right, you guys are good to go ahead and start your tests. Like, make sure check off your final boxes, get ready to go, because these tests start in like 15 minutes. Tests are like hours long. That's why it's taking so damn long.
Yeah.
In preparation for the test, the supervisors deactivate key safety features, like the one previously mentioned in preparation for the test, right? As part of the test, water flow was increased into the core. The added pumps cooled the reactor down so well that control rods that hinder nuclear fission were removed in order to keep energy up. Basically, water's too cold, cooling everything down too much. They go, well, we still need to have energy, so they pulled those control rods out. In an after-accident report, it was found that 8 control rods were used at the time when standard operating procedure required 15 to be installed at any given moment.
Oh, God.
So they had to have a minimum of 15, and they went, pull some out. Pull basically half out.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
It's too cold. It's too cold in there.
Yeah.
So instead of like increasing power and or limiting the water to come inside to cool down the reactor,
Yeah.
they were like, just take the control rods out.
That's so wild, dude. That's so wild.
That's what I said.
Like, that is against every single thing that you could possibly think would be the thing to do.
It's like the worst option that you could have done.
Yes.
Like if I'm like, oh man, I'm watering my plants, I go, oh wait, I'm getting too much water inside this planter. You know, your natural reaction would go, well, maybe I don't put so much water on it. These guys are like, I'm gonna just take the fucking plants out. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't want
We'll just add more soil. I think that'll solve the problem.
That's essentially, yeah. We'll just take the soil out. Like we'll just take all the take the walls off.
I don't want the gun to go off, so I'm gonna stick my finger in the barrel. Like that's how you do it.
Yeah, literally that. Literally that. So as the reactor stabilized at 1:23 a.m., shift supervisors were satisfied that test prep had been completed. They ordered the emergency spot valves closed and commenced the test. Within seconds, a massive surge of power spikes inside the reactor. This causes everyone to panic, as you might expect, because it's not supposed to do that.
Usually not.
Usually not. They immediately go to do a reactor shutdown, right? Because they're like, "Oh God, like we fucked up." And so they try doing this by inserting control rods into the core, right? We talked about control rods, the 211 control rods, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to go in, supposed to reduce that nuclear fission.
Yeah.
Guess what? They fucking jam. They jam. Unable to control the ongoing reaction. Just 60 seconds later, at 1:24 a.m., the reaction finally reaches its breaking point, creating a 5,000 degree Fahrenheit or 2,750 degrees Celsius steam explosion.
Oh my God, dude.
This explosion blows the reactor building apart, lifting the 1,000-ton roof off the building and throwing it like a fucking toy.
Sure.
Just throws it. For comparison, lava burns around 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, steel melts around 2,500, and concrete melts around 2,700. It was 5,000 degrees instantly.
That, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty certain 10,000 degrees is how hot the surface of the sun is. So it's like half the heat of the sun went right there. That's crazy.
It's like almost unbelievable. So a massive fireball brightens the night sky just outside of Pripyat as a mass amount of radioactive material goes in the atmosphere. This whole explosion was the power equivalent of 225 tons of TNT.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And it was in a room that was, in a reactor that was 12 feet in diameter.
The surface of the
12
sun
meters,
right
12
there.
meters in diameter. Yeah, so 12 meters in diameter or whatever.
I can't even imagine if you could survive being in that room, what you would literally see if you could.
Unfortunately, there was someone in the room, and I will be talking about them.
Okay.
So, a massive fireball, like I said, a mass fireball explodes, right? Following the explosion, a fire broke out in the reactor building in the graphite core, burning at somewhere between 1,200 and 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, as well as the nuclear fuel that was starting to melt, that was burning around 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh.
So for our UK listeners and those who use Celsius, the graphite was burning around 650 to 1,000 degrees Celsius, and the the nuclear fuel was burning around 2,200 to 2,800 degrees Celsius. So
that's a spicy meatball.
It's a spicy meatball. This would actually create the famous lava-like material under the reactor that everyone knows as the elephant's foot or the Eye of Medusa.
Eye of Medusa.
I know it's the Eye of Medusa. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's called the elephant's foot. Because you know why they call it the Eye of Medusa? Because they say if you were to actually lay your eyes on it, you'd already be dead.
Oh yeah. Yep. I believe that. I believe it.
So there was a guy named Valery Komenchuk. He's an engineer, and he's actually working at reactor number 4 during this, right? And he would actually be the very first person killed from the blast. He was working just inside the control room, or just outside the control room, and instantly vaporized.
Yep.
Right? As well as a fellow plant worker named Vladimir Shoshinok would also be killed, who was attempting to rescue Valerie. So he tried to rescue him, and they both died. They were the first 2 deaths.
Yeah.
The plant then enters a blackout, as you might imagine, as the sky fills with graphite and radiation. Despite all the evidence that this is the end, the chief engineer sends operators to reactor number 4 to try to save the reactor and examine the core. These operators, as they begin to arrive, begin to pretty much die instantly from the sheer amount of radiation being produced by the failing reactor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Fucking horrific.
That tracks.
Imagine you just walking up to your work and then you're just dead. Nothing hits you. It's not, you didn't get, nothing landed on you. You're not on fire.
Yeah.
Your body just fails. Radiation's fucking weird, dude.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Are we looking at time for that?
What, a minute and a half?
Minute and a half?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're actually going to be right back. We're going to go watch the Artemis 2 launch. So you stay here and we'll come back and we'll finish the story of Chernobyl. And we're back after the Artemis 2 launch. We're going to space, baby. Allegedly, space isn't real and the Earth is flat. We all know that, so that's all that matters. It was all a big ruse, and there was actually a bunch of dogs inside of that rocket. That's all that was in there.
Bow wow.
Bow wow. Anyway, let's get back to a different kind of disaster. So the Chernobyl plant is in full fucking meltdown by this point, right?
Yes.
And I said that before the little pause right there, the chief engineer was sending operators to go check it out, go, hey, listen, get in there, stop this. And as they kept approaching, they were dying from the sheer amount of radiation being produced by the failing reactor. In case you're wondering, the levels of radiation being produced by reactor number 4 at this time was around 4,000 times stronger than that of the radiation released on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So 400 times the amount of that radiation was being produced from a reactor.
That's insane.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Spicy.
At 1:28 a.m., firefighters began to arrive at the scene unprotected and seemingly unaware of the sheer amount of radiation they would be facing. As they poured water onto the fire, they discovered that it was ineffective. Because it's graphite.
Right, right, yeah.
And radioactive material. The blaze continues. Soon, firefighters began to vomit or pass out, falling to the radiation. More and more firefighters responded to the site. Some would never be seen again. There was actually a interview with one of the firefighters who did survive, and they climbed on top of the roof, I assume to do some sort of vertical ventilation or something like that, try to get some water on this thing. And had 2 of his guys in his trunk company, or his engine company, were like, we're going to go this way. And he was like, all right. And then he never saw him again.
Oh, yeah.
They were never seen again. 50 minutes following the explosion, Soviet officials called for the closure of all roads into Pripyat. Mind you, this city has yet to be evacuated. It's 1 a.m. City's not evacuated yet.
Okay.
Police officers who were in charge of blocking roads were just like the firefighters, unprotected and unaware of the radiation. And they too began to fall due to vast amounts of nuclear clouds and steam. They weren't being melted. It was just the sheer amounts of radiation were just fucking killing people.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of radiation.
A lot of radiation. It's very spicy. So many of those who responded to the reactor site suffered adverse health effects. Many either just flat out died from radiation poisoning or suffered internal radiation burns.
Jeez.
One of the guys that I watched an interview about, he described that he had, when he went to the doctor, he had radiation burns in his throat. Inside his throat.
Oh, yeah, no, you're not coming back
And
from that.
he survived.
Oh, okay.
But he had to eat like all these soft foods, and that's the only thing that saved him. It's because like he was just like eating all these soft foods and was like basically forcing himself through the pain.
Right.
People just were like, just kill me. Just let me die.
Yeah.
Those who suffered those who survived suffered from cancers and other ailments. As for their children, they were born with deformities, and many suffered with leukemia. 24 hours following the initial blast, the death count was around 28 from just radiation alone. 6 of which being firefighters who had responded to the scene. As the sun rose over Pripyat, stores and businesses began to operate as normal. But what was abnormal was the sight of reactor number 4, the damage seen in its entirety for the very first time. Utter and complete devastation. The external fires were out, but the fires deep in the core will continue to burn for days, as smoke plumes billowed over the soon-to-be ghost city. The following day, helicopters began to dump sand, clay, lead, boron, and dolomite into the steel-burning core. It is estimated that around 600 pilots experienced dangerous radiation levels to complete this task. I don't know if you guys knew about that. That's a kind of a fact I didn't know.
I did not.
It's that, because I knew about the firefighting efforts.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they had like just dudes in like what are those like Russian helicopters? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like not Heinz, but the other ones, like the transports on.
Yes, the big ones.
I forget what those are called. But those, they had like metric tons of this shit.
Yeah.
And they were just like dumping it
Yeah.
for like, I mean, a whole day and a half. So around 2 p.m., residents of the nearby Pripyat have yet to be briefed by Soviet officials. And the estimated 50,000 to 150,000 people were finally evacuated from Pripyat. They were like, "Oh, we gotta get out of here," right? They reassured that the evacuation was temporary and that they should only pack vital belongings. But as we know now, none of these people would ever return. As they left, a terrifying radio message played over every speaker in radio. Quote, "For the attention of the residents of Pripyat, the city council informs you that due to an accident at Chernobyl power plant in the city of Pripyat, the radioactive conditions in the vicinity are deteriorating. The Communist Party, its officials, and the armed forces are taking necessary steps to combat this. Nevertheless, with the view to keep people safe and healthy as possible, the children being top priority, we need to temporarily evacuate the citizens in the nearby towns of the Kiev region. For these reasons, starting from April 27th, 1986 to 1400, each apartment block will be able to have a bus at its disposal, supervised by the police and city officials. It is highly advisable to take your documents and some vital belongings and certain amount of food just in case with you. The senior executives of public and industrial facilities of the city has decided on a list of employees needed to stay in Pripyat to maintain these facilities in good working order. All the houses will be guarded by police during the evacuation. Comrades, leaving your residences temporarily, please make sure you have turned your lights off, electrical equipment, and water, and shut the windows. Please keep calm and orderly in the process of the short-term evacuation." They kept saying the word short-term evacuation, short-term. You hear that a lot. They kept saying short-term, short-term. That's why when you look at Pripyat now and like the Chernobyl, like the town that surrounds Chernobyl, that's why it's so fucking haunting. It's because like they were like, you know, it's like the old like Modern Warfare. Bill, you probably know
Yes,
like
yeah.
50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
You got to take the Coriolis effect into account.
Yeah.
Boy, Susie.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you look at these houses and there's like, it's all furnished. They still have their beds are made, or, you know, it's like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like people are like, oh, it's so crazy. And it's like, it's so creepy. And it's like, it's creepy because people were expecting to come back home.
Yeah.
And they couldn't. And like, I think that town would be a lot less creepy if they were like, if they had time, like a significant amount of time to be like, in like a year, this thing's going to blow up.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And like everybody left, you know,
Yeah.
like brought all the shit. It would have been like nothing. It would have been like not that big of a deal.
I'd say this too, man. Like the case in point for those who are alive now is like to have experienced that one time before and now to see Fukushima.
I will actually talk about Fukushima
Okay,
as well.
okay, yeah.
Briefly.
Here I am talking about all these things, but
Briefly.
yes, like that should be in everybody's collective minds where it's like, if you saw what happened there, that probably was a good way to see what might have happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So, as so simple as if it wasn't one of the most like worst nuclear disasters to date, other than Fukushima. By the time that the people of the Pripyat began to evacuate, many of them were already experiencing signs of severe radiation poisoning. Because people were dragging their feet. They were like, what do we bring? Maybe I bring a couple shirts. Like, how many pairs of underwear do I need to bring? And those people began to experience the vomiting, the headaches, the loss of consciousness, and then eventually death. Because radiation is fucking scary.
Yeah.
Radiation is scary.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. So once the city was deemed to be evacuated, an exclusion zone was promptly put into place, which still exists to this day.
Yeah.
The zone was originally 30 kilometers in all directions from the plant, but then it expanded to 2,600 square kilometer size zone. It's square kilometer.
It's massive.
It's insane. Like, it's insane. Officially called the Zone of Alienation.
Yeah, I know they have like a bunch of guards too.
Oh, yeah,
you have to go through like several stations. to get through.
Stations. It is usually staffed by military personnel, even more now due to the fact that there's a war in Ukraine. The story doesn't end there, though, as most people would believe. A week following the disaster, rumors began to spread that So before I begin this next part, this is kind of one of those like unknown parts of the Chernobyl story.
Okay.
Everybody, I feel like the general populace knows what I just told, right? Yeah. Everybody knows the story. Reactor blows up, massive radiation, a bunch of people get fucking sick. It's horrible.
Yeah.
This is like the back half of the story that a lot of people don't really even know about. And it's kind of one of those things that the Soviet Union kind of tried to sweep under the rug. And then when Ukraine became its own independent country, they kind of did the same thing. They're like, oh, well, fucking whatever. And they just kind of like ignored it. Mm-hmm. So a week following, just sub 1 week, like in the few days following the disaster, rumors began to spread that a secure call was made from the governmental task force in Chernobyl City and reached out to Kiev. Specifically to Kiev Metro Bud, a subway construction company known for its expertise in deep underground construction. Does anyone want to guess why?
Why?
Do you actually know why, Bill?
I don't.
Okay.
I was just gonna take a guess.
Okay.
My immediate thought was that if they didn't feel like they could attack it from any direction, maybe they thought to come from underneath to drop it into a hole or something.
Okay. Taylor?
That's a pretty good guess.
That's actually a fantastic guess. So, on the line of the phone call was Alexei Semenov, the head of Kiev Metro Bud. The caller from Chernobyl relayed that in the days prior, teams of helicopters, right, we talked about them, had dropped thousands of tons worth of material on top of the reactor in order to suppress it. Unfortunately, it didn't work because inside it was still known and unknown. There was definitely something burning still on the inside, but it was unknown like what was actually happening. They know that it was actually like melting that stuff. It was like it was just melting it. It's suppressing the flames, but it's still on fire.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where Kiev Metro Bud would come in. And Kiev Metro Bud, they're like I said, they make subways. And one thing I found out throughout this little kind of train nerd fact for you is that Ukraine has some of the deepest metro tunnels in the world.
Ooh.
And they had that record for years.
Okay.
Like years upon years. I don't know who took, like, I didn't look up to see who now has the deepest, but like forever they had the longest thing. It's because they have a lot of rivers,
right,
and a lot of sediment, a lot of sand, and it's hard to like build a tunnel through that. So they have to go fucking super deep in order to get through that.
Yeah.
So this is where this company is like, their expertise is like doing this, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the fear was that the fire inside the reactor was not stopped. It would continue to melt. It would actually melt into the waterways. That waterway would go into the waterways underneath the plant, which would go into the Pripyat River, and then eventually that would go into the Black Sea, which would just poison everything surrounding it.
Yeah.
Everything. So you got to think about like how many countries surround that, and like how many millions of people live around that area.
Oh yeah.
Plus the Black Sea, making it entirely radioactive. Or worst case scenario, it fucking blows up again. It just goes critical and just blows. Just finally happens, right?
Yeah.
And So, plan is made. They are going to dig a pit under reactor number 3 where the radiation levels are lower, then lay a very long pipe under the reactor number 4 and pump vast amounts of liquid nitrogen to create a deep freeze, stabilizing the sand and cooling the reactor from below. Seems like a pretty solid plan, am I right?
I assume it didn't work.
Well, we're going to talk about it. But it's honestly,
It sounds
not
very
a bad
ambitious.
plan.
It
No.
sounds very ambitious.
It's very ambitious. It's not a bad plan.
Yeah.
Not a bad plan.
Yeah.
So as workers were guided to Chernobyl, they were in APCs, armored personnel carriers from the USSR military, right? And they had to pass by reactor number 4. And this is a lot of times for these guys, the first ever times they were seeing reactor number 4, obviously in person,
Yeah.
after seeing it on the news. And they were passing right by it. And reactor number 3, as you might imagine, is right next to reactor number 4. As they drove past it and being in the surrounding area, they were exposed to an astounding 1,500 rotogens per hour. Now, that sounds like a lot. And I'm going to explain to you how much that actually is. So every minute that you're experiencing 1,500 rotogens per hour, right?
Yeah.
Is around to 1 minute is equivalency of 2,500 x-rays. 20 minutes, 50,000 x-rays.
Oh my God, dude.
In 20 minutes, 50,000 x-rays, the equivalency. That's what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
That's what your body's experiencing.
We're going to go to reactor number 3 and do all this underground stuff. But we're going to put you right next to reactor number 4 for a good couple minutes. Good luck.
Yeah.
Like,
You want your bones to be see-through? It's that much radiation. Because I can give you all these facts of how hot it is, whatever, but
Right.
I'm sure most people have had an x-ray in their lives.
Yes.
And we all learn about it as kids. X-rays are crazy. You can literally see through flesh and muscle into bone. You know, that's crazy. Imagine doing that 50,000 times in 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
It's astounding.
it's a lot of x-rays.
That's so much radiation. So, drilling into the ground, they used melted graphite as markers to determine precise drilling locations. Because when the reactor exploded, right? They thought it was asphalt on the ground, and melted asphalt from the fires, and they were discovering there was these giant chunks of graphite. And since they didn't want to touch it, they're like, "Yeah, just use it as a marker." So they start digging this hole, right? Miners who survived Chernobyl describe the eeriness while working. That's another big part of it. They're like, because they're used to this town is it's a fucking city. It's supposed to be kind of busy.
Has life.
Have life. You can hear stuff, maybe hear some cheers in the music park. It is dead silent, minus their work. So the city, silent minus the work. Houses, they looked otherwise normal. The windows now boarded up and locked down, as if the apocalypse had swept through the city, but spared them. It took the workers a few days to complete their vertical drilling, but by May 9th, the operation for the drilling for the liquid nitrogen pipeline was now in full effect. So when they started drilling down into the ground, they came into kind of a snag. Initially, when they were building the actual reactors, they had poured these massive concrete pads just outside to mount these cranes, right? These cranes would obviously lift everything up and put it in place. I mean, I'm talking gigantic cranes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not like something you see in downtown, massive cranes.
Yeah.
And so eventually, once they built the reactors, they just pull the cranes out and then fucking put dirt on top of it. They're good to go, So they kept running into that, which kept being a problem because they're we can't go through it, So they kept having to figure out different ways to deal with it. But they began to dig this pit, right? Because they're if we dig this pit, we can at least get an angle enough where we can drill down and then over, right? While digging this pit around reactor number 3, they were exposed to 6 rotogen per hour, which is significantly less than the 1,500 I said before. And 6 rotogen per hour, you're that doesn't sound that bad, right? Everybody? Doesn't sound that bad. Guys? Doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah.
Right? That's the equivalency of 600 x-rays an hour. So...
God, man. like
it's a lot. It's a lot of radiation. So
anytime you're doing any sort of thing that is usually a planned out medical procedure and you're now being boom, 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 boom.
yeah,
Like in a minute, like that would, like if you were getting 55,000 shots an hour,
Yeah.
that would be a lot. Like even if you got 50 shots an hour, that would be a lot.
it's a lot. So
Yes.
Yeah.
everything though is going according to plan. Surprisingly, until May 16th, when miners
Wild plan.
miners are actually ordered to cease operations and return to Kiev,
Okay.
stating that there quote had been some changes to the plan. And this wasn't like when there was like things are changing, and these miners also, I should mention, did you ever watch the H.G.O series Chernobyl?
Yes.
Well, there's that famous guy who goes to the miners, and he's like, he goes, I need you to do some work for me. And he's like kind of scumbag guy. That's not at all how that guy actually was.
No.
Apparently he was quite well beloved.
Okay.
And he was like, he was the head of the industry of coal mining.
Wow.
That he used to be a coal miner. And so he went to these guys and was like, listen, this is not going to be an easy thing that we're going to do, but we have to do it.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, let's do it. And so like all these guys, all these miners, all the people that came up with this plan, all these engineers, they're fucking heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Because without them, it would have been, it would have just gone to Lexi. It would have just destroyed everything in that area. So the reasoning that there had been some changes and stuff like that was that scientists had realized that the reaction in the core was a lot more long-lasting than they actually believed. So instead of just freezing the ground and putting out the fire, a massive tunnel and about 100 by 100 foot chamber would have to be made directly under reactor number 4. It's pretty big, right?
Yeah.
That chamber was going to have to be filled with heat exchangers and control equipment to cool the reactor more efficiently. Basically, building a platform that's just going to suck up all that heat and block any radiation coming through, right? The tunnel itself had to be 446 feet long, but as they were running out of time to pass the distance, miners suggested that they should just make it smaller. Mm-hmm. So like make the actual tunnel itself smaller.
Yeah.
And that ended up just being 6.5 feet in diameter.
Jeez.
That's quite different.
Yeah. The chamber was going to still be 100 feet by 100 feet.
Yeah.
But the tunnel itself was tiny. But as you would add the rails, the subway equipment, like concrete tubing, which is like what they put in like the concrete around inside subways, the ventilation and more space for workers was incredibly limited. It was pretty cramped in there.
Oh yeah.
Meaning that all the work near done by the reactor, right, instead of using like almost like bulldozer like equipment, had to be done by hand.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
So pretty bad. They also were planning to like dig quite far down,
Yeah.
and then go over. They were not that far underground, so they're experiencing a lot of radiation initially. But as they begin to work in shifts, and they're basically moving nonstop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Removing sand and debris as they get
Right.
closer and closer. Radiation was actually normal
Yeah.
because they're underground
Yeah.
and they're like safe, right?
Yeah.
But inside the tunnel, due to the sheer amount of work and the welding and everything, it was 140 degrees Fahrenheit
Oh my God.
Jesus.
at all times.
That's insane. And I was telling somebody like yesterday that one of the major issues with this whole entire conflict in Iran is the fact that we're in the spring. When it gets to the summertime, it can get up to about 130 degrees as a regular, and the hottest temperatures have been like 150 in Iran. So it's like that your brain stops working at 120. Like you start having real issues. So 140 the whole time, that's insane.
It's pretty hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those working on the site were obviously sweating a lot. It's awful conditions.
Yes.
They're actually being pretty well taken care of though. They're being fed. They can take breaks. Like, but you have to be working. Like, you have to be doing something.
Right.
So, but these guys are coming out of this tunnel and they're fucking exhausted, so they're pulling off their respirators. And they pull off the respirators to get moisture inside of it, which has radiation, making it inoperable. Doesn't work anymore.
Oh, geez.
So, on top of that, they're drinking vast amounts of water because they're sweating constantly, and they're sweating so much that they'll drink this radiation water. Right? It has radiation contaminated because of the radiation in the area, and they just immediately sweat right through. It's just going right through their system. They're just being overloaded constantly. As for the tunnel, it ended with the chamber right under reactor number 4 as planned. With the old foundation being its ceiling. Now, the old foundation, because it's next to a river, what's next to a river?
Sand.
Sand. So their roof right now in this 100 by 100 foot chamber is sand. And that sand had to be removed in small increments to prevent collapse, right?
Yeah.
Under a reactor that is currently melting. As you might imagine, something had to go wrong.
Of course, yes.
At some point during this operation, what is described as, quote, a very loud cracking sound was heard from the ceiling as large pieces began to gave way. Large pieces of radioactive sand.
Yeah.
In this chamber, and all these guys are down in here, and the ceiling is starting to crumble. The pit falls into complete silence as the foundation of reactor number 4 creaks above their heads, ready to collapse down upon them, ready to turn the tunnel into a mass radioactive grave. Not much is known about what happens, but what is known is that it didn't. And they were able to complete the work, and the chamber was built, and the heat exchangers are installed. They somehow escaped death from underneath reactor number 4.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's that is big time crazy.
It is insane. Finally, on June 24th, 2 months after the disaster, the job was done. Shortly after this, the chamber and the tunnel were filled with tons and tons of metric tons of concrete to create a final indefinite barrier from the reactor 4 to the waterways, right? Because concrete's going to help soak a lot of that radiation up, right?
Yeah.
Radioactive material. As officials pulled out of the city of Pripyat, nature begins to move in. Animals such as radioactive cats, dogs, and other wildlife begin to spread all over the city. What I found surprising was that shortly after that, the government sanctioned hunting parties to go in and fucking shoot them. Kill as many cats and dogs as they could because of the fear that radiation would spread to other cities. Cat or dog leaves from Pripyat, makes the 68 kilometers, whatever it is, to Kiev, full of radiation. A bird eats that. Someone shoots the bird, and then, whatever. Cat eats the bird, and yada, yada, yada. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
So they were a little bit freaked out. But there's another story of a creature seen around Chernobyl that is far more terrifying than any cat or dog. Well, most cats, at least. The creature is as black as midnight, with long black wings and glowing red eyes. Billiam Bernard.
Dog, are you telling me they saw the Mothman?
A monster, a terror of the skies, simply known as the Black Bird of Chernobyl, a.k.a. Mothman.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yeah, we're back, baby. So in the weeks leading up to the disaster, operators of the Chernobyl plant began to have close encounters with this Mothman-like entity. Fearing that for their safety, they reported their sightings directly to their supervisors, only to be met with ridicule, as you might expect.
Yeah.
You saw the giant bird with red eyes? Well, welcome to Ukraine. And then you just fucking get on with the rest of your life. Welcome to USSR.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what are you talking about? You saw a flying bird man. Are you getting like radiation to your brain right now? Get back to work. Like, come on.
it's like reactor number 4 would never leak. You're faking it. But someone did care. someone did care about these reports.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what's important. What is bad about it is that these operators began to receive phone calls in the middle of the night, only to have no one speaking on the other end, much like that of during the Mothman sightings. These mysterious little creepy phone calls, right? Mm-hmm. And in their dreams, visions of the black bird haunted them, its red glowing eyes stalking their thoughts like prey. Then, what started out as sightings and mysterious phone calls turned into actual threats. KGB officers began to harass witnesses who had seen the black bird in a very MIB Russian version, quote, of like, quote, you didn't see shit, stop talking about it, comrade. You know, like
Comrade.
like just like, you didn't fucking see anything, shut your fucking mouth, get back to work. Like, you work for communism, not for a giant creepy bird with red eyes. And then finally, we arrived at the site of the disaster April 26th, right? So when firefighters and first responders arrive to the scene, they're battling the graphite field blaze. And from the smoke flew a large black bird. Its glowing red eyes scanned the first responders before disappearing into the night sky. Sightings continued long after the explosion and was reported by pilots flying sorties over Chernobyl, who were reportedly intercepted by this mysterious and terrifying black bird. They were flying those like giant Russian helicopters we were talking about, and this giant black bird with red eyes was like fly past their helicopter.
So weird.
And if this creature is much like the Mothman, it's an omen of death, because it would prove it once again in exactly October of 1986 when a helicopter did crash just outside of Chernobyl, killing everyone on board.
Oh, jeez.
So, pretty spooky, huh?
Yeah.
Over a decade following the meltdown, sorry, let me back up a little bit. Not only has there been cryptids at this site, right?
Yeah.
There's fucking ghosts, as you might imagine. Mm-hmm. A lot of people died here. So over a decade following the meltdown, a doctor from New York physicist traveled from New York to Chernobyl to conduct, tests around reactor number 4. He claims that he was close to the door of reactor 4 when he heard someone screaming from inside.
Oh.
Describing it as someone screaming about a fire or that they were trapped inside of a fire, the physicist ceased his testing to listen further, but realized reactor number 4 was completely sealed off. Later that evening, the physicist was eating outside by the Pripyat River with a fellow colleague. As he was recounting the strange tale from earlier that day, they noticed a floodlight turn on inside one of the buildings. They knew that everyone was accounted for and watched as this light eventually faded away. This was far from the only paranormal encounter inside the exclusion zone. Visitors to the now desolate city have reported a heavy atmosphere at night. The sound of unexplained voices, footsteps, or crying heard in the now abandoned hospital, electronic interference, as well as shadowy figures seen and reported throughout the area, as well as documented on such shows such as Destination Truth.
Yeah.
I had to bring up Destination Truth for Taylor.
Yeah. I love Destination Truth.
During the disaster, the government was slow to roll out any information until vast amounts of radiation were actually detected in Sweden. I don't know if you guys knew that part.
I knew that they had been able to track that it had gone fairly far, and it's like when you talk about how bad things could have gone, like you could have had serious radiation going as far as France or even Iceland if it really went as bad as it could have gone.
Oh, it could have been so much worse. So there was actually like a nuclear, like people who like observe nuclear energy inside Sweden, right? And they're like, that's like their entire thing is like the monitor the levels and stuff, right? And they began to notice this like rapid uptick. And so they kind of went to the countries and they're like, did something happen? The USSR was like, no, like nothing happened.
So might have had a little oopsie.
Yeah. And they went like, so nothing. So, and then eventually they were like, so yeah, something happened, but don't worry about it. It's all under control. Meanwhile, it's like been sub 24 hours. It is definitely not under control by any means.
No.
But as stated before, this would be like the almost literal final nail in the coffin for the USSR, because the year before the meltdown, Mikhail Gorbachev came into power as the general for the Soviet Union, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was the guy like in charge of doing that, and so he kind of was like, yeah, I don't know, nothing happened, and then eventually he was like, there's like a meltdown or whatever, it's not that big of a deal, everybody's fine, everybody's all right. And that whole disaster kind of just showed that the government was not to be trusted
Yeah.
inside the USSR, which is kind of a big deal. And 5 years later, the USSR fell. So,
Didn't really work out well for them.
no. As the years wore on, the city began to degrade and nature took hold, like I stated before. Buildings rot, schools abandoned, homes empty, plants creep up the walls, grasping for anything. A city frozen in time until 2022.
Uh-oh.
The Russian Federation launched their war in Ukraine, seizing control of Pripyat. While the city is officially abandoned, people still work there. I don't know if you guys knew that. I didn't know that. Monitoring radiation levels as well as disposing of nuclear waste. The Russians, as you might imagine, were not gentle with Chernobyl. They were fucking blowing stuff up and just shooting tanks at stuff, doing just
Whatever they want.
fucking around.
Yeah.
They destroyed large sections of the power grid as recent as February 14th, 2025. They hit the new safe confinement, a massive hangar-like structure over reactor number 4 with a drone, and punched a fucking hole in the side of it. Just letting it leak radiation out. They said it's not leaking any radiation, it's fine. I don't know if I believe that. But that's now back in the control of Ukraine.
Okay.
So
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
We have that. That's by far from the first or last disaster to befall the world of a nuclear power.
Right.
We talked about before. The 3 Mile Island accident was a partial nuclear meltdown of Unit 2 reactor of the 3 Mile Island nuclear generating station located on the Susquehanna River in Londonderry Township in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So that reactor accident began at 4 a.m. on March 28th, 1979. Just how many years is that? That's what?
7?
It's like 6 years.
Yeah.
86 from 79.
Yeah.
So something like that. And released radioactive gases and radioactive iodine into the environment. It is the worst accident in U.S. commercial nuclear power history. Although its small radioactive releases had no detectable health effects on plant workers or the public, the accident was the largest release of radioactive material in U.S. history until exceeded by the Church Rock uranium mills spill 4 months later.
Yeah.
So the 3 Mile Island accident, right? The accident began with failures in the non-nuclear secondary system, followed by a stuck open pilot-operated relief valve, or a PORV, as they call it, which I thought was very funny. They call it PORV. And the primary system, which allowed large amounts of water to escape from the pressurized isolated coolant loop. The mechanical failures were compounded by the initial failure of plant operators to recognize the situation as a loss of coolant accident. Basically, thing gets stuck open, a bunch of nuclear water goes through. It wasn't supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Leaks into the environment. It's basically what happened. But the accident highlighted nuclear safety concerns among the general public and led to new regulations of nuclear in the industry, which we talked about. It basically killed the nuclear engine, like nuclear energy, like in the U.S. Huge anti-nuclear government, like nuclear movement activists, like sprung up and eventually just kind of like died off. They just were like, we stopped doing it, right?
Yeah.
Back to coal, baby, or
Yeah.
something. But that's not the only nuclear accident that's happened that I can think of. We talked about it briefly for a second. March 11th, 2011, a major nuclear accident has started at the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Okuma, Fukushima, Japan. I remember this happening.
Yes.
That's how
I do too.
Yeah. So the direct cause was from the earthquake and tsunami, which resulted in electrical grid failure and damaged nearly all of the power plant's backup energy resources, right? Energy sources. The subsequent inability to sufficiently cool reactors after shutdown compromised containment and resulted in the release of radioactive contaminants into the ground and the surrounding environment. It is regarded by the United Nations scientific community and the effects of atomic radiation as the worst nuclear reaction or nuclear incident since the Chernobyl disaster. It's a lot of words. Wrap it up. So yeah. Literally one of the worst since Chernobyl.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was in our lifetime.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Kind of weird how things kind of tend to be full circle sometimes, you know?
Right.
Like,
I mean,
we talk about the space race and all this stuff, or this Cold War, and like we went to space and all this stuff, and then we just watched people blast off to go to the moon for the very first time, and then we had a nuclear meltdown in 2011.
yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you think about it, there is that saying that history always repeats itself. And that's exactly what we're seeing even now.
Time is a
Like,
circle.
Yes.
It just keeps repeating over and over. You would think maybe we would learn.
Yeah.
Not.
So following the accident, at least 164,000 residents of the surrounding area were permanently or temporarily displaced near Fukushima, which is so reminiscent of the Chernobyl disaster, right?
Yeah.
This displacements result in at least 51 deaths, as well as stress and fear of radiological hazards. The evacuation accused of causing more harm than it prevented. 10 years later, over 41,000 people from Fukushima were still living as evacuees. But for those who survived the disaster, those who still alive at least, are fighting the government today. Once hailed as heroes, these victims of the radioactive waste suffer from ailments and disease, given small amounts of money from the Ukrainian government for their sacrifice they had to make. But for them, they're forgotten to time, much like the city of Pripyat, Ukraine, a ghost that is still haunting the world today. And that is the story of Chernobyl. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I will say it is very
Bring
odd.
back nuclear power.
It is very odd though, like the way that in the exclusion zone specifically, the animals there handle radiation way better
They
than we do.
evolved to it super
Yes.
fast.
Well, because when you look into it, Przewalski's horses, they released like 31 to 36 Przewalski horses from a reserve in Ukraine, and they put them in Chernobyl, and they're thriving. Like there's a population of over 100 now.
Okay. So
which is
yeah.
crazy because we took endangered horses, the last real wild horse, not feral horse,
Yes.
wild horse.
Yes.
And we said, we're going to put them in radiation zone. They're thriving,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
And there's all the dogs that are out there.
Oh, yeah. There's dogs,
also-
cats.
There's people that, because there's villages just outside of Pripyat,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, I'm talking like you fucking take a piss and you're pissing into Pripyat.
Yeah.
Like you're that close. There's just people that live there. It's not
Okay.
like it's like it's like 2,600 miles. There's nothing in between.
Yeah.
There, we talked about there was all these like little guard shack stuff. People gotta like live there to work there. So like, there's people that live in this area, and like there was a famous documentary, and I'm blanking on who's in it, but it's like one of the famous documentarians that everybody knows. But he actually went out there and was interviewing people in Ukraine, and like he is like a fucking like a radiation detector, and he's like it's like spiking in certain parts of this guy's yard, and he's like, yeah, it's fine. It's like, yeah, I've lived here all my life. Like it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
People just adapt to it.
You do adapt and you evolve, but we even see it like with pets with like cancer. Like
Yeah.
they handle chemo and radiation way better than we do.
Sure.
And they thrive out there. You know? And I mean, there's so many fucking people that live out there that not affected
Not affected
at all.
They just don't care. I mean, they have a couple more fingers than I do, but that's irrelevant. You know?
Even the animals though, they don't like they're not They don't mutate.
There's all the wild dogs out there, and I
Yeah.
can't remember the name. I can't remember what they're called, but like there's like famous wild dogs that are out there that are like literally full of radiation.
Oh yeah, and they
then
don't. There's nothing.
There's radioactive grizzly bears.
Yes.
You
all the
literally.
animals that live in the air are radioactive. The radioactive wasps.
Yeah.
That's,
Yes.
that's a famous thing that exists
You
out
literally would not know by looking at them though.
there. No.
But like you can't touch them because they're full of
Right.
radiation.
Right.
But like you would never know.
If you jerk them off, your hands glow. That's one thing. That's the way you know. Only way you know.
This like some shit I would say. I was not ready for that.
But it's just very odd how like
What can I say?
all these animals are just thriving
Yeah.
and like the abandoned buildings are just
That-
That's the difference between jizz and splooge.
But yes, because Taylor, her eartism is animals.
yeah.
You talk about Chbosky's horse quite a bit.
I like Chbosky's
And
horses.
it's ironic that when I was writing this episode, I kept thinking about that. That's probably why I wrote this episode. Was because of that.
Because I was like, did you know that Chbosky's horses are in the Chernobyl exclusion zone and they're not having any problems at all?
Yeah.
They're actually thriving.
Yeah.
Well, they're not having a problem.
Yeah.
They've adapted. Like
Pretty cool.
these fucking abandoned buildings are just like hanging out in there. They're like, yeah, this is great.
I'll put a photo of Chbosky's horse up on the Instagram. Go check it out. Because you'll look at it and be like, totally from fucking Chernobyl, dude.
that makes me think kind of like of the hippos that Pablo Escobar had, where when he was gone, those things ran rampant, and they're enough of a problem where now in Colombia those hippos are a nuisance because there's so many of them and they're so destructive. They have no predators at all, and hippos, like, they're already kind of a little aggressive, so it's like,
You just have hippos that are existing out there.
they just got hippos that are out there.
Well, send an American in there with a 300 Win Mag and we'll call it a day. Well, did everyone have fun?
I did.
I thought that was a pretty interesting episode.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Maybe I'll do some more disaster episodes. I seem to kind of find those kind of interesting. I was originally going to do the Hindenburg.
Are we like on the same fucking page today? Because I was like thinking, disasters, that'd be fun. Because I will say this, and I want you guys to see me. I think that excluding all of the dangers of the past, Zeppelins would be the coolest way to travel because it's as fast as a car, tons of luxury, and it's like to go from like New York to London might take you a week. It's faster than a boat. Like, I just think that is the future that we ought to give a try again. Minus the explosion parts.
It would just turn into a bus in the sky.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't think that sounds nearly as fun. I don't want some dude. I don't want some dude bumping into me and be like, when I used to shove my whole fucking elbow deep into some wolf pussy, that's how I knew that I was the wolf king. Like, that's the kind of experience I get on buses.
Can I get off this, please?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't want to be on that. I don't want to be. I don't want to be in
want
the
to
sky.
jump in the ocean.
Back in my days, they called me the drift king because I used to drift side by side like this, like this. Do you feel like you're in a fucking sky bus right now?
I don't have these experiences on the bus.
Get a little bit of
relate.
fentanyl and then you're good.
Perfect.
I always have like decent bus experiences, and then you've had way worse ones. I never have a problem on the bus.
Great.
So
Well,
I think you just attract a certain kind of person.
what do you mean? I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
You attract a certain
Close
kind
up.
of person, whereas I don't.
I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Look at my tiny little Bigfoot. And just like, anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to raise 5 stars in the listening app, like, share, subscribe, do the business. You know what it is. Want to send us an email? Send us something. I read it. I check it every week. Tell us your story. Tell us anything. Tell us whatever you want. HGOpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on all socials at HGO Podcast. You can follow me directly on my Instagram at ihuntthehaunted. And I don't know when this is coming out, but doing a small tour with GFL. At GFL_Gas Lodge on Instagram. Go check it out. We'll be in Eugene, Coos Bay, and Medford. Go check out those dates. Come out, meet me. I'll give you a big old kiss. Pass off time.
You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Lunar Thrill. That's all I got. That's all I'm on. I don't do much else. I ain't got anything exciting going on. So, Bill, it's your turn.
Bill Bernard.
Hey. You know, you can keep it a Bill sort of day if you go on over to TikTok at Thrill of Bill. Very thrilling, lots of fun. And, you know, I'm doing poetry and comedy nowadays. So, yeah, there's all sorts of things out there.
Sorry.
You got to check it out.
Thank
you.
Well, remember to stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
And we choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon not because it's easy, but because I'm hard, or whatever John F. Kennedy said.
Thank you, Marilyn. We appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye.